The invasion of Russia in 1812 stands as one of the most infamous campaigns in military history and a turning point in the Napoleonic Wars. Despite his previous successes across Europe, Napoleon Bonaparte's Grande Armée faced a catastrophic campaign that decimated his forces and set the stage for his eventual downfall. This campaign highlighted the dangers of overextension, harsh climates, and resilient enemies, demonstrating how even the greatest military genius could falter under adverse conditions. Context: Europe under Napoleon. By 1812, Napoleon had established hegemony over much of Europe. The Napoleonic Empire. France controlled or influenced territories stretching from Spain to Italy and the Confederation of the Rhine. The Continental System. Napoleon sought to weaken Britain economically through trade restrictions, pressuring European nations to comply. Tensions with Russia. Tsar Alexander I initially cooperated but resisted full enforcement of the Continental System, and territorial ambitions in Eastern Europe created friction. The invasion of Russia was driven by a mix of economic strategy, political pressure, and personal ambition, making it both strategic and symbolic. The Grande Armée. Napoleon assembled an unprecedented army for the Russian campaign. Composition: approximately 600,000 men from France, Italy, Germany, Poland, and Allied states. Strengths: highly trained, disciplined, and experienced in Napoleonic tactics. Challenges: the army included conscripts and soldiers unfamiliar with Russian terrain, logistical limits, and harsh weather conditions. Despite its size and experience, the army was vulnerable to supply shortages, disease, and attritional warfare. The campaign begins. Napoleon crossed the Neman River in June 1812, beginning his invasion. Initial engagements. Early battles such as Smolensk saw heavy fighting but failed to decisively cripple Russian forces. Russian strategy. Tsar Alexander I and General Mikhail Kutuzov employed a scorched-earth policy, retreating and destroying crops, villages, and resources to deny the French sustenance. Logistical strains. The Grande Armée struggled to find food and shelter, as supply lines were stretched hundreds of miles across hostile territory. From the outset, the campaign revealed the limitations of size and firepower in unfamiliar and hostile terrain. The turning point: Battle of Borodino. The Battle of Borodino, September 7, 1812, was the largest and bloodiest engagement of the campaign. Scale and casualties. Roughly 250,000 soldiers fought, with French and Russian casualties exceeding 70,000. Tactical outcome. Napoleon captured the battlefield but failed to destroy the Russian army, which retreated in good order. Psychological effect. The battle left the French army exhausted, demoralized, and far from its supply bases. Borodino symbolized the limits of military success when strategic objectives remain unachieved. The march to Moscow. Napoleon entered Moscow on September 14, 1812, expecting a decisive victory. Abandoned city. The Russians had evacuated and set Moscow on fire, depriving the French of shelter, food, and resources. Strategic dilemma. With winter approaching and no Russian surrender, Napoleon faced the impossible choice of remaining in a burning city or retreating. Declining morale. Soldiers suffered from hunger, disease, and fatigue, weakening discipline and combat effectiveness. The capture of Moscow proved Pyrrhic, as it failed to compel Tsar Alexander to negotiate. The catastrophic retreat. The retreat from Moscow beginning in October became one of the most disastrous episodes in military history. Winter conditions. Temperatures plummeted below -20 degrees Celsius -4 degrees Fahrenheit, leading to frostbite and hypothermia. Constant harassment. Russian forces conducted guerrilla-style attacks, further decimating the French columns. Supply collapse. Starvation, disease, and exposure killed tens of thousands. Army disintegration. By December, only a fraction of the original Grande Armée, perhaps 100,000 men, survived the campaign. Napoleon's retreat marked a humiliating strategic failure, demonstrating the deadly combination of environmental hardship, logistical failure, and resilient opposition. Consequences for Napoleon and Europe. The invasion of Russia had profound and lasting effects. Military weakening. The destruction of the Grande Armée severely reduced Napoleon's ability to defend his empire. Coalition against France. Britain, Prussia, Austria, and Russia capitalized on French weakness, forming the Sixth Coalition. Political repercussions. Nationalist uprisings and revolts in occupied territories eroded French dominance. Path to downfall. The failure in Russia set in motion events leading to Napoleon's defeat in 1814, exile to Elba, and the eventual 100 Days. The campaign revealed that even the most powerful military machine can be undone by strategy, climate, and endurance. Lessons from the Russian campaign. Historians highlight several lessons from Napoleon's 1812 campaign. Logistics and supply. No army can survive without adequate provisions, especially in hostile territory. Climate as a weapon. Harsh weather can decisively affect outcomes, as seen with winter in Russia. Strategic patience. The Russians' scorched-earth tactics and strategic retreat exemplified the value of attritional warfare. Overextension. Empire building carries inherent risks when military campaigns are spread too thin. These lessons remain central in military studies and strategic planning. The invasion of Russia in 1812 marked the beginning of Napoleon's decline. Despite his military genius and previous conquests, he faced a combination of resilient opponents, logistical failure, and unforgiving climate. The catastrophic losses shattered the Grande Armée, emboldened his enemies, and set Europe on the path to his eventual defeat. Napoleon's Russian campaign stands as a cautionary tale of hubris, strategy, and the harsh realities of war, illustrating that even the most brilliant leaders are vulnerable to the forces of nature, resilience, and circumstance.